This is supposed to be like a rant video with like I'm just gonna be reading from my script. I'm just gonna be taking some time to dot my eyes between the camera and the script so I know what about to say because I have a lot of things to say about this that are running through my head that I can't list properly. So yeah, the script is gonna stay here. See, in 2025, the Cambridge Dictionary word of the year was parasocial. And the Cambridge Dictionary describes the word parasocial as an adjective that involves or relates to a connection that someone feels between themselves and a famous person they do not know, a character in a book, film, TV series, etc., or an artificial intelligence. If you're anything like me, you love watching movies, reading books, catching up on live streams, or listening to insults on mics. And if you're nothing like me, you may find yourself having this proclivity to create these imaginary scenarios where you have conversations with them, where you are friends with them, or hell, even going out on dates with them with this person in your head. And now I don't think parasocial relationships are inherently bad per se. Like um I originally began with the opinion that all forms of parasocial relationships are inherently bad and creepy and downright horrifying in a large majority of cases. But that opinion has slightly swayed and come to change when I began talking to a lot of people and reflected on myself. And a lot of these people have confirmed to me that they have gone through these incredibly rough and dark patches in their lives, and having these delusional parasocial relationships in their heads help them get through these dark times. So, but I do think it becomes a glaring issue when instead of just acknowledging that yes, all these scenarios and conversations and whatnot are in our heads, as long as we keep it at that, I don't think there's any issue. But it does become a glaring issue when you start changing your legal name, like a certain person, to match a certain singer. It becomes an issue when when you completely shut out everyone else in your life so you can focus on this one personality when or this group when you pour over wikis and Reddit posts to find as much information out about this person or group as you can, stalking them, finding out where they live, just casually walking up to their door and greeting yourself like you two have known each other for years. I love watching the ever growing list of my favorite content creators like Queso, Markiplier, Haley Elizabeth, Bretman Rock, Ryan Higa, and many, many more. But I would absolutely hate to have to come up to these personalities and interact with them because not only are these people older than me, but and would be as uncomfortable as I am with having to interact with someone that they do not know, but also because I know for a fact that they won't acknowledge me as a friend. They might acknowledge me with the same amount of acknowledgement you would acknowledge that awkward kid at Thanksgiving, if you know what I'm talking about. Uh, Now, a couple of years ago, I did this gig where I edited specifically long form content for like YouTubers and content creators of all varying levels of popularity. Some had about a couple hundred subscribers, some had tens of thousands, some even had hundreds of thousands. One was closing in on about 1 million. Hope they're doing great now. Not that I'm watching them anymore, but as you interact with these people in a professional level, um, You start to quickly get one of the things you quickly get over is the tendency to form these parasocial relationships because you quickly realize that these people behind all the lights and the mic and the camera are just complete randos with their own boring lives and goals and issues and struggles. They're just completely ordinary people. So you stop idolizing them. You stop forming these parasocial relationships with them. You learn to stop acknowledging them. And the next time you find yourself scrolling through your YouTube homepage or browsing the theater for movies to watch, you just watch them and move on. You stop forming that connection with that personality anymore. It gets tedious having to form these relationships when you've learned that. Uh, you don't linger for the person anymore, basically. For me personally, I am glad that I am not in a level of attention yet where people form these weird parasocial relationships with me. But that is one of the many risks people have to take if they want to get into content creation for the sake of growing or for the sake of marketing. Now, isn't it? I feel like as the years go by and as social media becomes even more prevalent in our lives, not that it wasn't as prevalent as it is, not that it isn't as prevalent as it is now, I feel like it's going to be harder to keep up that wall between creators and consumers and the audience. YouTube and plenty of other anti social media platforms have cultivated this unnerving culture of teaching kids and impressionable people and unstable people, especially, that it is perfectly okay to create this, to have this emotional investment with someone you just happen to watch or read or listen to, um, whom you know nothing about. It's like it's promoting the idea that this kind of emotional investment is healthy. Whatever happened to like basic human etiquette? Whatever happened to respecting people's boundaries and minding your own business? Maybe it's just because I'm from a different time, but when I was younger, it was practically drilled into us that we were not supposed to give out our personal information online. Don't use your real name or anyone you know as your name, as your social media name or your email name. Don't provide your address even if it doesn't look shady. Don't provide your real age unless you have to be at a certain age above 19 if you want to. If well, we had to be above 19 if when we got our first social media, when we got onto YouTube, and we stayed very clear away from platforms like TikTok and Instagram and Snapchat and things like that. That's how I was raised, and that's how a lot of the people around me were raised. um Never show off your house and your car, and you'll be extremely horrified to find out just how much information people can find out from your window scene just by looking at your window and what they can see from there. And yet now it feels like a lot of people are just collectively choosing to ignore these pivotal pillars that have kept us safe. I mean, Jaden Animations literally has to deal with the fact that there is a subreddit that's dedicated to posting corn about her character or characters in situations, and she has to deal with that. That's the level of messed up we are dealing with at this stage. And then when you criticize this kind of unhealthy behavior, when you point out how wrong it is and how damaging it can be, not just for the creator but for you as the consumer as well, suddenly you're the bad guy here for ruining people's fun. Then you're like, then we have another excuse that, oh, it's their fault. They shouldn't have posted something in the first place. It's not my fault I'm so obsessed with them. And God forbid the worst excuse be you are called being ableist for calling out their coping mechanisms. Dude, I am on the spectrum myself. Do you know how I cope? I deep breathe, I re-binge Bluey for the 10th time this year, and I read shitty fanfiction late into the night at 3 a.m. Do better. Let me just say this once, and let me just say it twice. Alright? They do not know you. They are not your friend. they're not your mentor, and they are not obligated to give you anything just because you consume their shit. They do not know you, they are not your friend, they are not your mentor, and they are not obligated to give you anything just because you watch their shit. All in all, parasocial relationships, they creep me the fuck out. And all we can do now is see how big shit will get from here. Other than, I don't think there's anything I can do or say other than to just watch these people and move on with their lives. There's absolutely no reason to devote more of your time to these personalities. At the end of the day, they're just people. They're just losers, like us, like everyone. So yeah, that's all I have to say.